Hi folks, so welcome to the first lecture for solving equations using the trial and error method. Now before we kick things off, what I would like to do is introduce to you guys some common terminology that we'll be using throughout the course. Now the unknown variable is basically a variable or what is known as a letter that is used to represent a number. Now when it comes to algebra, you know that there's the use of a lot of letters. And those letters are basically called variables or unknown variables because we don't know what they are yet. It's unknown until we solve the equation. So for example, there are letters like x, which is very commonly used, there's y, there's t, etc. Another thing that you'll come across is the word expression. It is basically a mathematical phrase that consists of numbers and variables. So for example, 2x plus 5 is an expression. An equation, on the other hand, is when an expression is equal to another expression or a constant. So for example, 2x plus 5 equals 7. Okay? So that right there is an equation. So when there's an equal sign, it's an equation. When there's no equal sign, it's called an expression. And a letter all by itself is known as a variable. And a number all by itself, so the 5 for example, and the 7 for example, these are known as constants, which I've indicated here. Okay, so before we kicked off, I just wanted to familiarize you with some of those concepts. Okay, and so let's get into solving equations using that trial and error. Okay, so it says, write an equation to represent each of the following situations below. Okay, so we have part A, which says, I'm thinking of a number. I'm thinking of a number. When I multiply the number by 6, I get 24. Now, let's say I pick the number to be x. Okay, it could be any letter I want. There are 26 letters. It can be any of those letters. Now, when I multiply that x by a 6, the result that I get is 24. So it's just x times 6 is equal to 24. Now, when it comes to algebra, we do not use the multiplication sign because the letter x is used so commonly in algebra. We don't use the multiplication sign because it tends to get confusing between the x and the multiplication sign. So simply, we do not use it. So if we wanted to represent x times 6, the way we would write it is 6x, which is equal to 24. Okay, that's how we write x times 6. So 6x equals 24. Next, we have part B. Okay, I'm thinking of a number. When I divide 32 by this number, I get 8. Okay, so I have the number 32, and I'm dividing it by this number. Let's call it x again, and I get the number 8. Now, just like we do not use the multiplication sign when it comes to algebra, we also do not use the division sign. So division in algebra is represented using fractions. So 32 divided by x is actually 32 over x, which is equal to 8. Moving on to part C, we have I'm thinking of a number. Now when I subtract the number from 7, I get the number 5. Okay, so that's again, so we have the number 7. I subtract the number x, again, I'm using x again, from 7 to give me a value of 5. So 7 minus x is equal to 5. Then we have D. I'm thinking of a number. When I add this number to 9, so I have the number 9 and I'm adding x to it. Okay, so another number, which is x in this case. And the result I get from doing that is 13. Okay, now it's obviously fairly straightforward. We can already guess, I'm going to use a different color here, that since 6 times x equals 24, we know that x has to be 4. So 6 times 4 will give me 24. In this case, x has to be 4 again, right? Because 32 divided by 4 will give me, that's right, 8. In this case, x has to be 2, because 7 take away 2 will give me 5. And similarly, x once again has to be 4, because 9 plus 4 equals 13. However, in this particular question, they're not asking us to figure out what x is, they're simply asking us to write these expressions down. Okay, let's have a go at the next question. Alright, so this question says, using trial and error, solve the following equations. This is pretty much what we just did. So we have A, which is x plus 7 equals 10. Now let me use a different color here. Now think about, what do I need to add to the 7 in order to make it a 10? That's right, all I have to do is add 3. So in this case, x is equal to 3, because if x is equal to 3, it becomes 3 plus 7, which gives me 10. Okay, moving on to part B now. So we have 10, take away m, equals 4. Again, using a different color now. What do I have to make the m to be for it to make it into a 4? So 10 minus, that's right, 6 gives me 4. So m is equal to 6 in this case. Okay? Similarly, let's move to C. We have 7w equals 21. Now remember, folks, 7w, or a number and a letter next to each other like that, simply means 7 times w equals 21. Now, remember, 7 times what will give me 21? Using a different color, we know that the w has to be 3. So 7 times 3 is 21. Moving to part D, we have p divided by 3. Now, as you can probably tell, I've made a grave mistake here, but I wanted to call it out, is that it should not be in a division form. It should be in a fraction form. So p over 3 is equal to 6. Now, think about it. What do I need to divide by 3 in order for it to equal 6? That's the 18. That's all it is. Okay, now let's move to part E. So c minus 8 is equal to 3. Now think about it. What do I need to minus by 8 for it to equal 3? Is it 10 minus 8? Or is it 5 minus 8? Is it 11 minus 8? So 11 minus 8 we know gives us 3. So c is equal to 11 in this case. And p was equal to 18 here, and w was equal to 3 here. And then finally we have the letter F, or the last question. So 4 plus h is equal to 11. 4 plus what gives us 11? That's right, 4 plus 7. So h in this case is equal to 7. Beautiful. Let's move on to the next question. Okay, so this question says, use guess, check, and improve to solve the following equations. Okay, let's have a go. So we have A is 4x plus 3 is equal to 3x plus 6. Okay, so we have to use guess, check, and improve. Okay, so let's draw out a table to represent this particular data. Okay, so we have different x values here. So we're going to put the different x values here. We have 4x plus 3 on this column, and we have 3x plus 6 in this column. And what we're going to do is we're going to try out different values of x and see what ends up giving us the same answer for this and this. Okay, so let's start with a standard one. So let's start with x equals 0. With x equals 0, it becomes 4 times 0 plus 3, which is basically 0 plus 3, which is 3. And this becomes 3 times 0 plus 6, which is equal to 6. So obviously that's not correct. Let's try x equals 2 this time, okay? So we have 4 times 2 plus 3, which gives me 11, because 4 times 2 is 8, plus 3 is 11. Then I have 3 times 2 plus 6. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 6 is 12. 11 and 12, very close. I have a feeling that x equals 3 might do the trick, where x equals 2 couldn't. So x equals 3, so we have 4 times 3 plus 3. So 4 times 3 is 12, plus 3 is 15. Similarly, 3 times 3 plus 6. 3 times 3 is 9, plus 6 is 15 again. There you have it. So x equals 3 is the solution that we needed to solve this particular equation. So that is the process of guessing. So first we guessed the letter for, or guessed the number for the x, then we checked it using these two columns, and then we improved upon it as we went along. Because in the very first one, when we used x equals 0, we got 3 and 6, so we increased the number, so we went to x equals 2. Then we got a very closer number, so we know that if we got a little bit higher, so x equals 3 in this case, we would most likely find the right answer. Not x equals 6, geez, x equals 3. Alright, let's move to part B. Alright, so now we're looking at 2x plus 7 equals 3x minus 10. Alright, so let's try our standard x equals 0. Alright, and see what we get. So x equals 0 gives me 2 times 0 plus 7. So 2 times 0 plus 7, which gives me 0 plus 7, which is 7. Then I have 3 times 0 minus 10. Whoops, this is negative 10, so quite a bit far apart. Let's really increase the value for x. So let's try x equals, I don't know, we'll try x equals 5, all right? So we have 2 times 5 plus 7. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 7 is 17. Then we have 3 times 5 minus 10. So 15 minus 10, which gives me 5. Okay, so we are somewhat getting closer. So this was was far apart by 17 points. This time we're down to 12. Okay, so let's increase it even more. So let's go to x equals 10. Let's see what difference this makes. So 2 times 10 plus 7 gives me 27. Okay, then 3 times 10 minus 10 gives me 7. There you go, getting closer. No, that doesn't give me, that gives me 20, sorry. It gives me 20. So now we are only 7 apart. Let's try x equals 15, okay? Let's see what this does. So 2 times 15 plus 7 gives me 37 for this one. And then 3 times 15 minus 10 gives me 35. Whoa, nearly there. Let's go up by 2 points, okay? Not 5, because I think that'll be too much. So let's try x equals 17. So 2 times 17 gives me 34, plus 7 gives me 41. 3 times 17 gives me 51, minus 10 gives me 41. There you go. So x equals 17 is, in fact, the correct answer. And there you have it, guys. That's basically the process of guessing. Just guess a number, check it, and then use a bit of common sense, I guess, to, keep improving upon the answer. So as we saw, x equals 0 was way far away. So we really increased the value for x by 5 points, got it closer. We kept going up by 5 points each time until we got closer and closer. And then finally we got to x equals 15 and we were like, oh, we're only 2 apart. So let's not go up by 5 this time, let's go up by something smaller. So we went up by 2, and there we have it. We have the correct answer. Okay, now let's move to part C. Alright, so we have part C. So 3 bracket x minus 2 is equal to 2x plus 1. So same process. Let's try x equals 1. Alright, let's try x equals 1 this time. So we have 3 bracket 1 minus 2. 1 minus 2 gives me negative 1. 3 times negative 1 gives me negative 3. Then we have 2 times 1 plus 1, which gives me positive 3. Okay, so we are still 6 apart. Alright, so let's go up a little bit. So let's try x equals 3. So we have 3 bracket 3 minus 2. So 3 times 1 gives me 3. And then we have 2 times 3 plus 1, which gives me 7. There you go, we're getting closer. So this was 6 apart, and now this is 4 apart. Let's try x equals 6, all right? Let's see what that gives us. 3, 6 minus 2, so the bracket gives me 4, so 3 times 4 is 12. Then we have 2 times 6 plus 1, which gives me 13. There you go, we're only 1 apart. I reckon if we were to do x equals 7, we would have the right answer. So x equals 7, we have 3 bracket 7 minus 2. 7 minus 2 is 5, so 3 times 5 is 15. And then we have 2 times 7 plus 1, and there we have it. 2 times 7 is 14, plus 1 is 15. So x equals 7 is, in fact, the correct answer. And there you have it, guys. That's our process of guessing, checking, and then improving upon the answer to solve a linear equation. So I hope that was helpful. That brings us to the end of this particular lecture. What we'll do is we'll continue with solving with trial and error method in the next lecture. Okay? See you in that one.